All right. We're about to start the next session here. Probably make an announcement or two, and then we'll begin. I want to thank everybody for showing up. A couple quick announcements. Let me get that over with. There's a coffee break that is still going on. Actually, it ends like in 5 minutes, so that announcement is not good. I will say the Auggie Awards are tonight. That will start at 7 p.m. in the Mission City Ballroom, which is the main stage. I have no idea where that's at. Anybody? It's right there. Fantastic. It's right there. So if you could make that, that'd be great. My name's Dan Ferguson. I'm one of the co-founders of a company out of Dallas called Groove Jones. Fun fact about me is I'm the guy that created Elf Bowling back in 1999. So if you were on the internet in 1999 and you played Elf Bowling, I'm the guy who did that. It was voted the worst game in history, but it was the #1 PC downloaded game of the year. There you go. See, it's people start to go, oh, Elf Bowling, oh my God. It was an internet phenomenon, really weird, crazy stuff happened, and talking about crazy stuff happening, these people are going to be a lot of fun. So I want to introduce both Doug Jacobson and Athena Demos. They're going to talk about their company, BRCvr, and everybody give them a quick round of applause.
Thank you. I'm sliding behind you. There we go.
Well, welcome, everybody. Before we get started, how many of you here have even heard of Burning Man? Okay, that's pretty good. How many of you have been to Burning Man or regional? Okay, even better. And how many of you have been inside of BRCvr? Me, I've been there.
Awesome.
I've been to Burning Man too. And how many of you have loaned your bike to somebody and then it came back looking like this?
So not that many people need these definitions, but we like to answer the question, what is Burning Man? So there's really two definitions of what is Burning Man. There's the one that we see in the media most of the time and on the Burning Man website, and it's associated with an event. Burning Man is a temporary artist community in the upper Nevada desert where 80,000 people come together to build an epic city. We live there peacefully in a gifting economy, and then we take it all away as if we were never there at all, leaving no trace. So that's the most accepted definition of what Burning Man is. But there's actually another definition of what Burning Man is. Burning Man is a community of people from all over the world. They come together for creative collaboration and communal effort and a whole lot of shenanigans. Marian Goodell, the CEO of Burning Man, of the Burning Man Project, when she canceled the event for the second time in history, she said, you can cancel Black Rock City, where the Burning Man event is, but you can't cancel Burning Man. Its ethos and its culture. So this creative, collaborative community is glued together with the 10 principles of Burning Man. And these principles are the foundational fabric that provide an inspiring place for creative communities to thrive. And we transferred this energy and these principles into the digital space and created BRCvr.
Yeah, so this is where BRCvr comes in. When Burning Man was canceled, we were tasked with bringing this community into an online space. And it was a community that didn't necessarily even want to be in an online space. These were not gamers. They prioritized social interaction over graphic quality. And we spent a lot of time onboarding this community into the platform. And we did a pretty good job, but we figured this year in 2021 we could do a better job. So our first sort of internal model was that we wanted to 2.0 everything. And we took on over 40 worlds ourselves, 40 experiences, not including about 20 we brought over from 2020. The first thing we did was look at the virtual playa, our main hub space, and we completely threw it out. Kind of like what they do at Burning Man every year. They totally tear it down. We totally tore it down, threw it out, and rebuilt it from scratch to have more streets. You can walk around, check out camps, and actually built kind of a platform that we can use to evolve it over time.
This is actually, by the way, the digital. This is BRCvr, not the physical, but when you look at it, it's actually really hard to tell. It looks just like the pictures of Burning Man. So we also wanted to create nostalgia and bring things back in that we remembered from previous years. So we created the Museum of the Man. This is every man from 1986, the original year, to current. And you could go around and see your favorite man, your first year, the base that you liked the best. And we also created events like this one, which was called the Stories of the Man, where we had some of our really original OG burners come together and tell the origin stories of each one of the man bases. We also created the Temple Museum. Now this was an epic undertaking, mainly because most of the temples didn't have any sort of renderings. They were built on site. We're going to put this thing here, we're going to put this, piece of wood there, and so all we had were dusty photographs. So the Temple Museum comprised of 9 worlds that had 2 or 3 temples, full-size renderings in each one, and it spanned from 2000 to 2020. We had modelers from all over the world working on this project.
And we also started rethinking how we dealt with art in 2021. See, last year, people would send us a low poly model for our main hub space, and we would portal to a world that would have that like one piece of art alone in a world or camp. And it's not how you experience Burning Man. There's lots of stuff going on. So people would also send us huge, beautiful pieces of high poly art, and we had nowhere to put them, and they kind of fell through the cracks. So this year we wanted to increase the accessibility and really address that. So what we did was we created these zone worlds. And the zone is sort of a reference back to the zone trip from the Cacophony Society of Burning Man's earliest days. And what we did was take all these high poly artists and create scenes of Burning Man, which are zones. And it's sort of getting back to that ADD-ness of Burning Man, like, okay, you're going over there to the sound system, I'll be over there at the post office, and I'll meet you at Costume Cult, we'll do the runway. So sort of giving that sort of highly inclusive thing. And they were each a story and a moment in time at Burning Man. And they all had their own story. And then we were thinking, we want to have a live stage. We wanted to bring people in as sort of holograms. So we put a call out to the LA Burning Man scene, and we set up a place in downtown LA, and we shot a whole bunch of burners coming in, DJs, circus performers, spoken word, and then we beamed them in to our live love stage. And there's David Starfire and
it was actually really great because when we told our developers that we wanted to have a live stage, he heard love stage, and he labeled the file love stage. And we were like, why'd you call it the love stage?
I had called it the live stage, which just as a generic, I hadn't come up with a name yet. Oh, it's just the live stage. He goes, okay, I got the love stage. And that stage was also designed by Haggis, who also designed a lot of the man bases, which is really, really nice. And then we were like, okay, let's go all the way. In Burning Man 2011, William Close designed an earth harp that stood on a podium, and the harp strings went way across and attached to an actual temple, and every time at dusk he would play this beautiful earth harp. And we were like, we got to recreate that moment. It was really great. And so we teamed up with William Close, and we recreated that performance in VR.
We're going to talk
Oh,
about
yeah. Oh, yeah, and the man bird. I got it backwards. Sorry. Yes, we also recreated the man bird. We watched a whole ton of Burning Man fireworks shows. We recreated the man world, so it felt like you were standing there in the middle of the city. And when this fireball went off, everybody backed up, and we knew, okay, we did our job. But the cadence of the fireworks show was very accurate to what you would see on Playa, and we were super happy with this. Now let's give a little listen to what the earth harp sounds like. By the way, on November 19th, we're going to do an encore performance of this in BRCvr, and all you guys can come and check it out. It's going to be really great. So that's a little bit of what we did internally to up our game. But then there was this whole external audience we had to deal with.
So it's one thing to build your worlds and your experience, and then you invite people to come and participate with it. But that's not enough with the Burning Man community. They need to create. They need to be a part of the whole. So one of the things we had to do was identify who our audiences were and how to make the platform more accessible and inclusive for them. Each one had its own custom approach, and we had to create tools so that they could be radically self-reliant and radically self-expressive. Those four audiences was the Burning Man departments, the artists and world builders, event producers, and of course, participants. So I have been part of the Burning Man community since 1998 and organizing events in Los Angeles since 2002. And so I knew a lot of the Burning Man department. So I reached out first to the Black Rock Rangers, because you can't have Burning Man without the Black Rock Rangers. They are the walking the streets, making sure everyone's getting along and having a good time, and safety third is okay. But if you get hurt, they're there to call somebody to help you. So we needed to have the Black Rock Rangers, and I reached out to them, and they loved the idea, and they immediately got involved and helped me get in contact with other departments that were integral, like the harm reduction, or Green Dot, which helps people when they're having a little bit of a mental crisis. Or the temple guardians, who are there to help you when you're having your moment at the temple and holding space for you, which we also did in the digital realm. And then, of course, Playa Info. And Playa Info really wanted to dive in to not just be information about Burning Man, but information about the digital spaces, how to get involved, how to build virtually. They really wanted to make it happen. So we created the Burning Man Embassy. This is a world that contained all of those departments, and sometimes the departments had their own worlds as well, but we wanted a place where anybody could come and learn about the Rangers and the Temple Guardians and Playa Info and harm reduction and get the help that they need. We even created a world called the Philosophical Center, which normally only exists in theory for Burning Man, but now we actually have a physical virtual space called the Philosophical Center.
As I'd like to call it, the Philosophical Center.
Philosophical Center.
Try to make it as pretentious as possible.
So this was a major inclusivity push by us. We wanted to figure out how these crucial departments can exist and share their knowledge in the virtual space.
Now, for artists, last year we had a toolkit, and our toolkit is a package of models that had everything you need to build a camp, like tents, RVs, DJ equipment, everything, alcohol. And it was kind of complicated to use last year. So this year we really simplified it and gave that out to the community. And we also tried to become more accessible to the artists. But to be honest with you, some of the artists from 2021 really upped their game, brought some amazing tilt brush worlds, dome worlds, virtual music videos, innovative narrative worlds. Stuff that, here's our Donna Summer world here.
Stuff that could never be built on Playa.
You'd never be built on Playa, and in some cases they even one-upped us, so we were very excited about that. And event creators, people who throw events in these worlds, well, they up their game too, because we spent a lot of time, another chunk of time, showing them the new tools on the platform to get video and audio in and how to throw events. And we had a lot of not just DJ performances, but movie screenings. This is the Billion Bunny March we recreated, which was pretty ridiculous.
This was so funny, I laughed so hard. I just couldn't stop laughing.
Regular DJ, and so we had over 3,500 hours of programming for the week of Burning Man, which is kind of mind-blowing.
And then, of course, we have the participants. We had to get everyone onto the platform to be at these events, to be in these worlds. And we considered everyone a participant. So all the audiences above, as well as those who just wanted to get on the platform, we created regular Zoom calls called the BRCvr Ask Me Anything calls. Now, these were hilarious because it had everyone on them. We had people that were building worlds. We had people that just couldn't figure out how to log on to the platform and the functionality of how do you move around. So it was a lot of knowledge sharing that went back and forth. So all of this was exhausting, a massive effort, totally crazy, and a form of totally focused chaos, just like Burning Man. And just like Burning Man, because it wouldn't be Burning Man without its challenges.
Yeah, we had a lot of things were going well. That was the stuff that went well, and now we're going to talk about the stuff that didn't always go as well. From the nuts and bolts, for example, I was working on getting ready for the launch on Saturday before we opened on Sunday, and there was a substation fire near my house, and the electricity went out for 15 hours. And I had all this equipment, I couldn't move it anywhere else. So I went into my garage and I got my Burning Man generator, which I actually had in there, and I pulled it out my Honda, and it had gas in it, and I was sitting there alone in the dark with my one computer and one light, and one of our modelers did his version of that moment in time, and there's a world in BRCvr where you can go see. I'm connected to my cell phone and for internet, and it was kind of stressful.
But it's the day before we're supposed to open.
Which translated into a dust storm the next day.
Yeah, a dust storm and a rainstorm.
The result of that.
The other problem that we had is actually not a problem. Like for most people, you would be like, that's not a problem, but it was. So we did such a good job at helping people create events that we had 3,500 hours of programming. But in a 9-day period of time, you only get 216 hours. And at Burning Man, that's fine. FOMO's real. But in the digital space, that divides your audience completely. So none of the events were full. And so people really didn't get to fully enjoy the magic and the majesty that was going on in BRCvr. So we had too much programming. And on top of that, we had a brand new feature that we had asked AltSpace for. They created, and it was great, and it was called the Festival feature. But they launched it the day we opened. So nobody on the platform knew about this button. It was a brand new button. It was right there in the middle, but nobody could see it.
Completely invisible.
Completely invisible. We did everything we could to help people understand that all the worlds and all the events were in this festival feature. It was like our trash fence. But what we ended up doing was bypassing that UX completely and going analog. Our team came up with this amazing idea of creating what we called Eventsville. We put up a poster of all the events that were going on that day out on the main playa right when you spawned in, and then the portals in front of it so that you could see the event you wanted to go to and jump right into the portal. We took an otherwise digital way of finding everything through menus and made it completely analog so that you could just come to BRCvr, and there was everything that you needed. It was a lot of busy work for our team because we had to change out these the graphics and the portals over and over and over again and update the portals, so it was time-consuming for us, but a better experience for the people who were participating in BRCvr.
Yeah, sometimes analog, sometimes old classics work best, actually. And then there's ticketing. Let's just get this out of the way. We don't get any money from Burning Man, Microsoft, AltSpace, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it. So we were selling tickets like anyone else would. However, the ticket vendor that Burning Man happened to choose had no interoperability with the AltSpace platform. There's no way to get that they bought a ticket over to AltSpace. And we would have to create this complicated system in the middle to like get the code from here. You know, it was a terrible customer journey on top of the already challenging onboarding into a virtual platform that we were doing. And not only that, we'd have to have a Zendesk the size of Texas to figure out, like, if someone had a problem, they're going to come over here to AltSpace, they're going to come to us, or they're going to go to the ticket vendor. So it was a disaster. And as these headwinds kept building up, we realized too many walls to get people in. So we made the difficult decision to pull the plug on the ticketing and just no code, no walls. And that was sort of the theme this year: less walls, get people in. And so we finally did that. And then we found out that even had we not pulled the plug on the ticketing ourselves, that we wouldn't have been able to sell tickets anyway because Microsoft and Facebook were still trying to learn to work things out.
They're still trying to learn how to work things out.
But thankfully, we had some investors come in and get us over the line at the last second, which worked out really great. But it was kind of a stressful nail biter for sure.
For sure. So with all these challenges, because it wouldn't be Burning Man without challenges, we still consider ourselves a great success. People had an amazing time. I mean, were you in BRCvr? Did you have a great time? Yeah, absolutely. That was an amazing time. So at the end of Burn Week 2020, we had about 13,000 unique users. And by the end of Burn Week 2021, we had 22,000 unique users, almost doubling our population, which, for the record, is the way that Burning Man goes. If you look at Burning Man's population every year, it pretty much doubled. So, you know, BRCvr 2022 will probably have 44,000 people.
Yeah.
So we know from experience what it takes to community build in a VR space. And we were always wondering, with everything that we learned, what would we do if we built our own platform for the community? So we have 2 successful virtual burns, and we know what the virtual community needs to flourish. But we have 20 years each of community building in the burner community, and we know what it takes for a creative community to thrive.
So come join us in 2023 and in 2024, 2025, 2026. And find out what we're doing next year for Burning Man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug and Athena. We have a minute or two for quick questions. If anybody has a question, please come to this microphone right here so everybody can hear you.
She's running. Wow.
Thank you.
Steve.
I know.
How many hours did you spend in VR?
I actually spent so much time that I got a warning on my Oculus that said that I should probably power down because I've spent too many hours in it. I think I had done maybe 10, 12 hours at that point, but not always in VR, because I would be in VR and then we had those Zoom calls. So our entire crew were all virtual. We don't work out of an office. And so our entire crew would be connected on these Zoom calls. We would open them at 8 o'clock in the morning and they would run until the last person was on it. And we would be in VR and on the Zoom. And so it was like in and out of the headset, but it was on for at least 12 hours.
Yeah, that was our internal comms. And I couldn't get out from behind the computer between the Zone Worlds, the Temple Museum, and the main playa. I was behind the computer, not in the world for a few days into the event. It was a little rough. But
Hi, Matt Neutra. Hi.
Hi,
How are
Matt.
you? Nice to see you. Given the Niantic announcements and Meta announcements, are you guys planning on taking advantage of these new platforms, and or are you going to stick with this for the time being and stay in VR?
We're open to all possibilities and options, but we are also looking at the possibility of building the tools that we know the community needs.
Yeah. And then one comment. I noticed that you had portal potties. At
yes.
Yes.
Yes, so we had this great idea. It's very Burning Man that we would, I'll wrap it up. Okay. We had this great idea in our sense of humor. Burning Man has got to have a sense of humor. So we thought, what a great mode of storing all the portal. We put these porta potties out there, and we put portals in them, and you can go check out other worlds. And we thought this was great, put our own worlds in there. But other world builders thought we were making a commentary on what we thought of their world, not the sort of, they didn't really have a sense of humor we had. So we had to pull that down. So.
Okay, now I'm officially.
Yeah, you're here.
Now you're officially
you.
here.
So Bob,
we have
man.
2 more questions, though.
I know. Hey, if you do have questions, why don't we take them out towards the back?
We'll meet you
I know
right
there's
there.
Probably a lot of quick questions. As we get ready, everybody please give them a round of applause.